For under £1,000 in today's GPU market, you might be thinking you're going to really struggle to pick up something that's performant and good value. But today we're going through a really nice build guide of something that can do just that. So stick with us here on the channel. This is Concept Soup, where we like to put together lovely PC builds. We put together the build, we tell you the parts, we tell you the performance, and then we just have a lovely laugh. We have a lovely cup of tea. We have a lovely rich tea biscuit. Of course, something needs to sponsor the channel, so we'll have a lovely sponsor spot later on. But let's mix it up. Let's go straight into a build montage, guys. Build montage coming up, then some parts list, then some performance, and we'll close out with the sponsor later. All right then. So there's our build complete, and in sheer beauty, in this gorgeous Kolink Citadel mesh case with the white frame, and it comes with these RGB fans as well, and it makes a really nice compact PC that looks nice and actually has quite good performance thanks to the mesh on the front. But what are you doing talking about these parts? We don't know what they are. You haven't done the parts list yet. All right, sunshine. Let's do the parts list. Okay, so CPU. Intel i5-10400F. These are cheapest chips at the moment. 6-core 12-thread processor. It's good for those esports titles, and it's a really good match considering our budget. The i5-10400F is so cheap now, and it's a really good buy for you budget gamers. CPU cooler we have is the Arctic Alpine 12. It's actually pretty much the same performance as the stock cooler. The reason I got it is because the stock cooler is ugly AF. It's that horrible old blue style cooler. It's not the nice black one that comes with the 11th gen. So we're chucking our Arctic Alpine on there just for looks, pretty much. The motherboard is the MSI B460M Mortar Wi-Fi. It's a really nicely put together board, actually. The Mortar series is always good. It's got Wi-Fi 6 built into it. It's got great VRMs, nice solid BIOS, and good memory compatibility. So it's going to be something that's not going to let you down. Memory-wise, we have 16 gigabytes. That's 2 lots of 8. DDR4 3200. Speed CL16. This is Kingston Fury Beast, but really any RAM that fits these specifications from a decent manufacturer will do you just fine. The storage we have is a 500GB NVMe SSD. This is a Kioxia Xeria, which is a nice exotic sounding SSD, but it's a pretty bog standard NVMe SSD. 500GB is usually enough for about 5 to 6 games depending on the games, so that should be plenty for most people. Most people tend to play only a handful of games at a time. The video card we have is the Gigabyte Gaming OC Radeon RX 6600 XT. That's an 8GB card. Looks really nice. Gigabyte Gaming OCs have a great reputation because they just cool really well, and they're usually with Gigabyte actually the graphics cards tend not to be too expensive as well. They tend to be on the lower end of the pricing scale currently. The case is the Kolink Citadel mesh, as we said earlier, with the white shroud, comes with the RGB fans, and overall it's just a really nice compact machine that can fit everything you need to fit in it as well. It's surprising the amount you can get into such a small case. Power supply we have is the Cooler Master MWE Gold V2, 650 watt. It is a fully modular gold power supply, but for this system, the only reason I use this power supply is because I got them on a really good deal, about £40 each. But if you want to use something a bit cheaper, something like there's these MSI MAG power supplies that are quite cheap at the moment, the 650 watt bronzes, that'll be fine as well. A 650 watt bronze from a good manufacturer should be absolutely fine. And that really does round out the build, so it's quite a nice balanced system here. If I was building this today, I would probably go for an Intel i5-11400F and pick up a B560 motherboard instead. The reason is the price isn't that much different, but I wanted to keep this within a very specific budget, so that's why I went with the 10400F. But with the 11400F, you just get a little bit extra boost, and you'd also get the nicer stock cooler as well. So that's our parts list. How did it do? How did it do indeed? So let's do some temperatures, do some benchmark games, then we'll do some real games. Let's see how this thing performs. So CPU temperatures, we use Prime 95 for CPU, we use OCCT for video card. We use them both at the same time, get the maximum heat through the system to really stress it out. So in our CPU temperature test, Prime 95 we have a maximum temperature, and we have an equilibrium temperature, which is a made-up metric by me, by us at JCPC Customs. It's basically what you might expect to get in-game, basically, because it ignores all those half-second spikes that you get with Prime 95. So the maximum temperature, we did actually end up hitting 100 degrees Celsius. And that, for some people, is a cause for alarm, but actually it's not that bad. In Prime 95, to hit 100 isn't that bad, because the T-junction, the junction temperature on this, is around 110 to 120 degrees. So it's not, you know, close to like chip degradation area or anything like that. And remember, Prime 95 is an unrealistic load. When we take away those half-second spikes, our temperature was around 75 degrees, which is a bit more in line with what I would expect from a stock-style cooler. The video card reached 65 degrees in a 30-minute stress test, which again just shows you how good these gaming OC coolers are. Let's now move on to some gaming performance. Let's start with the benchmarks. Heaven benchmark, we had an FPS average of 145.9 with a score of 3674. So this is putting it around the level of a 3060 Ti. It's between them. It's better than a 3060, maybe not quite as good as the 3060 Ti, which is quite a nice place to be considering the price that we're hitting with this system. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is our next built-in benchmark. We run this at the highest preset and the average FPS was 121, which again, that's not bad at all. Considering we had a 3070 Ti system with the Ryzen 5 5600X, that was getting around 175, so about 50 FPS difference between, you know, an £1,800 system versus a £900 system. That's actually pretty good value when you think about it. So let's now look at some real-life gaming. Okay, so let's start with some Apex Legends, and apologies for not starting the benchmark timer on MSI Afterburner for this one, but our average FPS was around 160 to 165, so that makes this a really good pairing with something like 144Hz, 165Hz 1080p monitor, because we run this at 1080p high settings. And this is going to be great for you competitive gamers that are on a budget, because you're consistently hitting over 144 FPS. To get more FPS, you'd probably need a better CPU. I don't really think it's the graphics card that's holding us back too much in this scenario. It's probably more the CPU if you want to get some better FPS, which, as mentioned earlier, if you went for the 11400F, you might see maybe a 7 to 10% boost in your FPS here. But I'm happy with this performance. Considering the price point we're hitting, I think that is pretty nice indeed. Let's move on to some Fortnite next and see what kind of FPS that we can get in this. So another esports title, fairly easy to run, so we're looking for that FPS number, the nice high number, and it hasn't disappointed. So our FPS average was hovering around 300 FPS, which is great considering, you know, how much we're paying for this system to get a 300 FPS Fortnite experience. This is on low settings with epic draw distance, but this is competitive play. This is the kind of settings that you would be playing at. 300 FPS is fantastic. Get a 240Hz monitor, you are absolutely laughing with this system, and because our 1% lows are well above 144 FPS, in those clutch moments, you're still going to be getting really good performance from the system. So I think overall, this has done really nicely indeed. So some closing thoughts now on this build, and really for around £900, it's really hard to do better than this, isn't it? you're actually getting a proper experience where you can play games at 1080p high refresh. You could even dip your toe in some 1440p gaming because it's perfectly capable of that as well, depending on the title. Maybe not Cyberpunk, but other games that aren't quite as demanding on the hardware, 1440p shouldn't be a problem at all. I think it's a really good investment at this price level. Obviously, the more you spend, the better you get. But the thing is, with these Radeon cards, they're actually available pretty consistently and at a decent price. So, you know, maybe if you've got a bit less money, a regular 6600, you can get them for around £380 now, which is, yes, more expensive than I'd like, but it's not absolutely horrific. And considering the market we're in, it might actually be a good purchase. But there you go. Enough said about all that. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your neighbours, do whatever. We've got a sponsor spot coming up, and I'll see you in the next video. But please stay for the sponsor spot because you love me. You really love me. This video is brought to you in partnership with JCPC purveyors of fine gaming PCs. But why buy from JCPC Customs? There are 3 pillars to what we do: enthusiast grade build quality, stunning good looks that you are proud to display, and all at a fair price. But how do you get your hands on one? Well, we've got 3 methods. We have the ready to go PC section. These are PCs that are already built, ready to ship out with optimized specifications. So excellent for the most fuss-free experience. For those that want to spec out themselves, you can use our Configurator listing, and this is where you can choose some lists of parts that we have available to us. But for the most granular experience, the truly custom experience, you can use our custom spec service, and this is where you fill out our Google form. You can choose every component, even down to the model number, and any other accoutrements that you also want with the PC can be accommodated here. So thank you very much for watching, and head to jcpccustoms.com to learn more. Wait, don't go to it just yet. Quick one, I've got a discount code for you for jcpccustoms.com. Use code YTFREE at checkout. You get free shipping on anything on the website. That includes PCs, so that's like a £30 saving right there. Anyway, on with your regularly scheduled content.